Today is the first day of the Feast of Tabernacles, and I have a little tabernacle built right there. So come up the stairs, and there it is. That is our little tabernacle. I think it's really nice. So, what exactly is the Feast of Tabernacles here? And it looks nice at night when we turn the lights on, right? We turn the lights on and we turn the candles on. So, what exactly is Feast of Tabernacles all about? So, the Feast of Tabernacles, primarily, it starts on the 15th day of the seventh month, and it looks back to when our ancestors, the Israelites, where they came out of Egypt and they lived in tents, right? So while they were traveling from Egypt, they didn't go straight to the promised land. First, they went to Mount Sinai. They received the law there, and then they received the law there. And actually, I believe that's where Leviticus 23, which talks about the the feasts. I believe that's when it was written while they were at Mount Sinai. So it's we look back to when our ancestors lived in tents, temporary shelters, while they were traveling. Okay. And then we also look forward to the time when Yeshua will come and tabernacle with us, when he will dwell with us during the 1,000 year reign. But we also look forward to when we will permanently dwell with him in the new heaven and the new earth. I used to be part of a church where we used to go to a campsite and keep Feast of Tabernacles there. But we left that church and now we gather at home. And what I actually saw, see, the Feast of Tabernacles is kept in the city. It's actually kept in the city of Jerusalem. Now, today, the Israelites are not back in the promised land. The people that are there, uh, the modern day Jews are not Israel. That's why they haven't built the temple, and they're not going to build the temple. So we won't be able to keep the Feast of Tabernacles as exactly as it's kept, as it's prescribed in the scriptures, while we, the Israelites, are in exile. So we do what we can. So when you read Nehemiah chapter 8, it tells you how the Israelites who came back from Babylon, which had now became Persia, they came back and how they kept the Feast of Tabernacles. So how did they do it? It says that some of them built tabernacles on the roofs of their homes, some in the courtyard, I believe the courtyard of the temple. So what this tells you, right, that these are temporary dwellings. They're temporary shelters. I don't believe that people used branches to build their regular tents. I believe you use animal skin, right? Because the law says that we use branches that we go and get, like palm trees and stuff. I don't believe we have palm trees in Pittsburgh. So we got some branches, some lovely branches here. Oh, oopsie. Yeah, we got some branches. So I'll show you what it looks like. Right, these are fall, so these are not like real, but we got some real ones up here. All right, we got some real ones up here. And one thing I have just received like a spiritual revelation about all this. Okay, so the when Yeshua in the new heaven and the new earth, we will dwell with him. But so the animal, I believe they used animal hide, right, or some other material to build those tents that are waterproof. So this is by far like this is not really. It's just symbolic. Okay, it's symbolic. But what I've found out, what I've learned in all of this, is that this tabernacle, right? It it disintegrates. The leaves get dry and then they fall. And what this means actually is that whatever we built on this earth, right? Whatever house, tent, dwelling place you build on this earth, it will eventually fall, rot, or disintegrate, right? So the spiritual revelation I've received is that it's in that tent that God makes with his own hands, right? That city of Jerusalem, that is a city not made with hands, that eternal tabernacle, right? The rooms that Yeshua, Jesus said that he would go and prepare for us. I believe that's in the New Jerusalem, right? So, what this means then is that you cannot place your faith on things here on earth, that you cannot be looking, your treasure should be in heaven, right? We look forward. And even another revelation that my wife talked about is that our bodies are known as tents, right? Our bodies are known as tents and they break down. You get older and then eventually you die. But we're going to receive new bodies. We are going to receive, if you believe in Yeshua and are born again, at the resurrection, which people like to call like the rapture, at the resurrection of the saints and being caught up to meet him in the clouds. Before that happens, we're going to be changed, transformed. These temporary tents, these temporary tabernacles will be transformed into the immortal, right? We will put on immortality. So that's the revelation I've received. This is the first time that I've actually worked to build a tent, some sort of tent, right? It's not waterproof. It's not, it's symbolic. And the Israelites would not have built these tents to permanently dwell in because the feast is only for 7 days. And besides, when they were traveling, coming down to Jerusalem, if they didn't live in Jerusalem, right, they would have their own tents that they would travel in. Because for some people, depending on how far you lived from the temple, from Jerusalem, it might take 1, 2, maybe 3 days as you're traveling down. And so, as they traveled, right, as they made their way, they would have to rest somewhere. So, they would have tents where they would sleep in while they were tra- traveling. See, that just fell down there because of the wind. And so what this means then is that the the shelters, the tents that they would make with the branches, those are just, they're symbolic. They would sit in them like we're sitting. I'm sitting under it now. It's very nice. It's a little bit cooler today, but this sun feels good. So they would sit in them, and it was more symbolic. Like if you have a house and you build this tabernacle on the roof of your house, I don't believe you would be staying there the whole time, right? If you need to go use the bathroom, you go to the bathroom. If you need to go and prepare food, you go to your kitchen. So I don't believe that um, these are shelters that you build permanently, because why? You already have a house, right? And you already have a tent that you came with when you came down to Jerusalem. Besides, once the feast was over, you would need to break it down and take the branches, back to where you took them from, or to burn them or something, right? So they wouldn't remain in their courtyard. So they're temporary shelters. It's really, when you obey the scriptures and you do what it says, you get deeper spiritual meaning. Like, you get more revelation. Many people, Christians, believers, don't follow all the scriptures, and they just miss out on so much of what the scriptures teach. So you should you should follow the word. Now, if you don't know what the feast is or when it is, we have, for next year, we have this calendar. This is the Biblical Feast Calendar 2026. Move that over. And so it's by our ministry, israelitemedia.com. You can go there. You can get it. So this is for January 2026. And we talk about like why we don't keep January 1st as our new year, because it is not the new year of God and we follow God. And we told you how this is the 20th of January, right there. That's the 11th new moon. Okay. So we'll flip here, 12th new moon, February, and then March, the equinox begins on March 20th, right there, March 20th. And next year, that's also the first new moon. So that's when the month begins too. That is the earliest possible time that the months can begin. And we also talk about like what the new year is and nice graphics. We talk about what Aviv is, the green ears, right, of barley and how they coincide with the beginning of the new year. Though we don't use barley to tell when the new year begins, because our ancestors, the Israelites, were they did not sow or reap for 40 years, and yet they kept the feasts. How did they do that? They followed the moon and the stars. I mean, the sun and the moon. All right, so then we have Passover for next year. So this is a calendar, biblical feast calendar of 2026. I believe it's really beautiful, really nice, and you can learn. I always wanted something like this. I have wanted something like this for a long time that will help me keep the feasts, right? That will teach me and show me when the feasts are. So Shavuot is Pentecost. So we have it May 24th. See there? May 24th. All right. So pick up the calendar. It's going to be at our website. I also put it in the description below. I am enjoying this. It's very nice. It's very calm, very calming. I am enjoying dwelling in the presence of the Most High God, the Most High Yahweh Elohim. Very beautiful time. I look forward to spending Tabernacles with you, Yah willing. Next year, we'll see. We might rent a place and invite people so we can tabernacle together, learn to serve, bless Yahweh, praise Yahweh together. All right, the feast is 7 days long. It will be nice. And then on the eighth day is another feast called um, Shemini Atzeret, or the eighth assembly, or the eighth day. Really, I think it's the last great day, which is about eternity. Because after, when you live with God, when you tabernacle with Him, if you continue, you will then be glorified. You will be in the new heaven and the new earth and in eternity. All right? Beautiful time. Know what the scriptures teach. I am really enjoying myself here. And I have my favorite hoodie, Israelites. Remember, repent, restored. Alrighty. I will talk to you soon. My name is Yirmiyahu Mwangelwa, on this first day of the Feast of Tabernacles, Sukkot. Talk to you soon. Shalom.